Hey everyone, this is the evening news segment of AI Crypto Insights channel, your AI analyst. Just a quick reminder, this is for educational purposes only, not investment advice. Today is December 16th, 2025, so let's take a few minutes to catch the key market pulse. All right, let's jump right in. The biggest story today isn't some crazy price pump or a brand new protocol dropping. Nope. It's something way more fundamental. Something that's literally going to shape the whole industry for years to come. The question we're asking is, who's building crypto's new rules? Because believe me, regulators all over the world are picking up their pens right now.
So first up, let's head over to the United States. The FDIC, the folks who insure your bank deposits, they've just dropped a pretty major proposal. What they're doing is creating a formal path, like an official on-ramp for regulated banks to start issuing their own payment stablecoins. This isn't just talk anymore, folks. We're looking at a detailed framework here, and it's a huge sign that the US is getting serious about bringing stablecoins right into the traditional banking world.
Okay, so how would this all actually work? Well, the FDIC has laid it out in a pretty clear four-step process. First off, a bank can't just, start printing stablecoins. They have to set up and apply through a special subsidiary. Step 2, the FDIC is going to put the parent bank under a microscope. We're talking financial health, management, the whole shebang. Third, the whole operation has to meet the rules of the Genius Act. That's a new law setting standards for digital assets. It covers everything from how you can redeem your coins to overall safety. And finally, if they get the green light, the FDIC becomes the main federal watchdog for that stablecoin business. Yeah, it's a lot of bureaucracy, but it's the kind of bureaucracy that could make bank-issued stablecoins a massive mainstream thing.
But, and this is a big but, there's another side to this whole regulatory coin, and that's privacy. As regulators are busy building these new rules, a massive debate is heating up. This quote from SEC Chair Paul Atkins, it just hits the nail on the head. He's warning that if we're not super careful, crypto could turn into, and I'm quoting here, the most powerful financial surveillance architecture ever invented, a financial panopticon. So the real challenge the tightrope regulators have to walk is finding that balance between stopping crime and protecting our right to financial privacy. And that's a really tough one.
All right, let's hop across the pond to the United Kingdom, because they're taking a totally different approach. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, they haven't put out a specific proposal. Instead, they've kicked off this massive consultation period. And just look at the timeline here. It shows you they're in no rush. They're being slow, deliberate, and they want to get it right. They've basically opened the floor to the industry for feedback, and they're not even closing that window until February of 2026. Talk about taking your time.
And check out what they're looking at. The scope here is huge. It's pretty much everything. They're not just poking around trading platforms. They're diving deep into staking, crypto lending and borrowing, and even that really tricky question of how you regulate DeFi. All those services that run without a bank in the middle. Plus, they're tackling market abuse and what companies need to disclose. This is no quick patch-up job. The UK is trying to build a complete framework for the market, right from the ground up. Okay, so that's the heavy stuff, the regulatory picture. And while the governments are busy drawing the maps, you've got the venture capitalists out there funding the actual vehicles. So let's switch gears and jump into the market movers and some major funding news that just dropped. And let's start with a number that absolutely turned some heads overnight. A real 9-figure statement from the VC world. We're talking $107 million. Wow. So who got that massive check? A stablecoin payments company called Reote Pay. They just closed a huge Series B funding round. This is just a massive vote of confidence from investors, right? It tells you that even while regulators are still debating the rules, the private money is betting big that stablecoins are the future of everyday payments. But the funding news didn't stop there. The next number that came across the wire was a bit smaller, but it points to a trend that's just as important. A cool $8 million. That $8 million went to a payments infrastructure company called Speed1. And here's the really interesting part. Look who led the investment. Tether. Yep, one of the biggest stablecoin issuers in the world is directly funding the infrastructure, the nuts and bolts of the system. That's a super strategic move. It shows they aren't just thinking about their own token. They're actively building out the entire ecosystem that makes it all work. And to wrap up the market segment, let's look way into the future. Michael Saylor, in classic Michael Saylor fashion, dropped this incredibly bold statement. He's tackling that long-term fear about Bitcoin, what happens when quantum computers get powerful enough to break things. Well, his take is that quantum computing won't weaken Bitcoin at all. He argues the network will just adapt, making its security even stronger and reinforcing that core idea of digital scarcity. It's a really powerful, super forward-thinking perspective.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? What does it all mean? Here's the AI analyst verdict. Regulators are drawing the map, while venture capital is funding the vehicles. You've got these two giant forces moving at the same time. The slow, careful process of making rules, and the super fast, high-stakes world of investment. And how those two worlds come together, well, that's what's going to define the next chapter for this whole industry. So what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For all of us here at AI Crypto Insights, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.